OMG Zuz, boys, girls and tweeners, welcome back. Red Gamer here, back to answer a question that I've been getting pretty much since both JURI was revealed and made available for story mode in Street Fighter V. Now, people who have been long-time fans of the channel will know that I am a huge fan of JURI, not just for how she plays, but also because she's just a fucking awesome character and total sexy badass to boot. So people have been asking me, what do I think of the new version of JURI now that we've had a chance to play her? And that's pretty much what this video is going to be about, so let's jump right in. So first and foremost, I'd just like to say that I'm not an expert on JURI. I've never claimed to be an expert on Street Fighter in general. I'm just a guy who knows the game to a reasonable degree, to a mid-level kind of area, and tries to help people at the very least get to my stage of development. So if there's stuff that you know about JURI that I don't, great, feel free to tell me in the comments. Just for the love of God, don't troll me, please. That out of the way, before we go into what JURI is now, let's just cover what she's been in the past. Now, obviously, in Street Fighter IV, JURI was primarily a zoning character. She had some extended combos with her fireball stores, a little bit of offensive pressure, and was mostly about feng shui engine mix-ups when she decided to turn on the Ultra. Now, let's get one thing really clear, because I played Street Fighter IV from actually I played it from the original, I played Cammy in the original. But I played JURI from Super onwards. I got the game pretty much on day one. She was actually the character who brought me back into Street Fighter. I'd given up on it when I was playing Cammy because I just didn't really have that much fun. But when I saw JURI, she was like the reason I picked up the game. Back in Super, JURI was not a good character. Okay, for a really long time, from Super to Arcade Edition to everything else, every other like little iteration they had, patch, things like that. She was not a very good character. She got basically buffed every time and still was not a very good character. You know, they gave her a FADC out of her EX Pinwheel. Well, thank you, Ono. We get to use 3 bars to get out Ultra instead of 2. Things like that. It wasn't really until Ultra Street Fighter IV that as a character, she really hit her stride. Now, obviously, there are some people who will say that she was slept on for a very long time. I don't agree with them, but I think we can all agree that once we got to Ultra Street Fighter IV, she was a very good character, and she did make it into the EVO Finals top 8 for 2015. But even with that said, in my opinion, she had some very bad matchups against certain characters. Characters like Blanca and Honda were just nightmares for JURI to try and work with, so she still wasn't really a perfect character like someone, say, like Akuma or like Yun. She was definitely not S tier, is what I'm trying to say. That said, Feng Shui Engine was a very, very big strength of the character, but unfortunately due to the way that it worked and its complexity, it was something that was really just limited to high-level players only. I played the character for 5 years and I never really mastered how to use Feng Shui Engine. Now granted, I didn't pour as much time into the game as I could have, but even so, I've clocked up hundreds and hundreds of hours playing JURI and I never really felt comfortable online playing with the Feng Shui Engine. One of JURI's biggest strengths in Street Fighter IV, in my opinion, was she was fantastic at shutting down fireballs and using zoning in that game. She essentially just robbed any character, probably the only exception would be Guile and maybe DJ, of being able to use their projectiles at all. And in addition to that, she was able to pile on her own zoning. Pretty much the only character in Street Fighter IV who could compete with her in terms of zoning was Dalsim. Every other character in the game got straight murdered if they tried to zone her because she was just better at it, period. And the reason she was better at it was because she had a lot of moves and a lot of tools to deal with a lot of situations. Her EX counter was a fantastic move. It had 1 frame of startup, it had total invincibility, it was able to basically kill any attempt at vortex setups. Her EX pinwheel beat meaty fireballs, and just overall she had a lot of options at any given time. Now, before I jump into the new JURI in Street Fighter V, I'd also like to stress that if you don't know, the developers of Capcom have stated the JURI that we saw in story mode is unfinished and will most likely change before she is released, hopefully at the end of this month, but at latest the end of next month. Alright, let's talk about things that I like about the new JURI. Probably one of the things that I like the most is her V-skill is potentially a lot of fun. Not only does it look really cool, but it also has a lot of options available to it. It can travel through fireballs, although at a certain distance she's not too hot up close, but it can be cancelled, dash cancelled, and cancelled from some normals. So you can actually do the charge itself, dash cancel out of it to fake your opponent out. You can actually go into the charge, travel across the screen, but hit your V skill again and she'll actually cancel out of it in front of them instead of behind them. And you can actually do certain moves like her back heavy punch, I believe, her stand medium kick will both cancel. The feng shui engine was a no-brainer for a V trigger, and I'm really glad they implemented it. It was one of the things that I predicted and actually got right for this character, so if nothing else, it makes me look clever. Another really good thing about JURI is she kept a lot of really good standing normals from Street Fighter 4, which do seem really good. She's got a standing heavy kick, a crouching medium punch, a standing heavy punch, and a crouching heavy punch are all really good, and they seem to be as good or improved from the Street Fighter 4 incarnations. She also gained an air throw, which is fantastic. That's a really great tool to have, and just something else that you can use to keep people on their toes. She's got a better walk speed as well, which is also really good, and her Fuhajin stores are easier to eat fireballs, I've found. The actual hitbox on them and the active amount of frames that it has seem a little bit easier if you're just trying to use them to eat fireballs that get thrown at you. But let's talk about the parts that make everyone angry. Let's talk about the parts that I don't like about the new JURI, because there are a few of them. Alright, so she's lost some really good normals as well. There are some normals that I really wanted her to keep going in Street Fighter 5. Her standing medium punch, her forward jump heavy punch, and her neutral jump heavy kick especially were all really good normals that I would have loved to see carry over, and unfortunately they haven't. Obviously that's just my opinion, but I really did like those ones. She's also lost her entire zoning game. Now, before I go any further, I will say that that is not unexpected, because there really is no zoning to speak of in Street Fighter 5. It's a game that's designed to be played aggressively, it's a game that's designed to get big damage, it's not designed to be a game where you sit back and throw fireballs and wait for people to come to you. Even characters like Dalsim and Guile and Fang, who are obviously, or arguably at least, the most totally kind characters in the game, still rely a lot on mix-ups and getting in to do damage, rather than waiting for you to come to them. So that being the case, I'm not upset that she's lost it, I'm just, as my parents would say when I was a child, I'm disappointed. Another thing that's changed is that her new pinwheels I don't find are very good. Now let's go on the record and say that her original pinwheels weren't really that great either. But that said, the way that they've been changed to be horizontal, diagonal, and mostly vertical seems not only unnecessary by changing their inputs to a Dragon Punch motion instead of a fireball, but just the fact that they just don't seem to, it doesn't really seem to add anything to the character is what I'm trying to say. If you're trying to use it as an anti-air, unless you're using the EX version, there is no invincibility to speak of, so your results are going to be mixed at best, I would suspect. And even with the EX version, there is not much invincibility from what I was testing on the PC. Obviously I can't count frames, but from what I saw it was very limited, maybe to half a dozen, I can't be 100% sure, but it was not a huge amount of invincibility, even when you're spending one bar. She also has no consistent way to punish projectiles, which I found really disappointing. Her V-skill, from what I've seen and what I've tested, is unsafe on block. I'm probably looking at around -4 or -5 frames from what I saw. It's definitely not a move that you can use that's safe. There is the caveat that the PC mod that I was using when testing this was not complete, and whenever you use the V-skill it would act as though it was fully charged regardless, so there may be different frame data on the uncharged versions. I don't know, but I can say with absolute certainty that the fully charged V-skill is not safe on block and therefore is not a great fireball punish unless you really know how to time them. Additionally, her overhead split kick doesn't always allow for a follow-up unless you are quite close to them, meaning that while you can still get damage to punish fireballs, again, it just feels inconsistent. I would like a more consistent way, like her old dive kicks, to be able to punish fireballs. Speaking of inconsistent, her light kick fireball, which is the only projectile that she has now, the distance feels wildly inconsistent. I could not find a way to make the distance of it consistent. It seemed to vary from going from about half a screen to 2/3 of the screen, depending on when you used it. And if you do know a way to make it consistent, then by all means please tell me, but I have yet to figure that one out. The feng shui engine is less about mix-ups and more about just extending a combo, largely for two reasons. First and foremost is that it's no longer timer-based. While the V-skill gauge will run down as soon as she activates it, it will run down much faster on each concurrent hit, and from what I tested, you're looking at about 10 to 12 hits max, and those are not just hits, those are also moves on block. You can whiff moves and they won't count towards the degradation of the meter, but anything that hits will reduce your V gauge sharply. And on top of that, her mix-up game from the overhead appears to be gone. I cannot find a way, again, if there is a way to do this, please let me know, but there does not appear to be a way to do an overhead into a feng shui engine combo anymore. This was one of the biggest threats of her feng shui engine in Street Fighter 4, the ability to do a block string into an overhead as a reset or do the overhead during a combo was one of the huge things that made her really good when she was activating that particular aspect. and to have it reduced to a combo extender in Street Fighter V feels like somewhat of a diminished threat for your opponent. The crush counter, which is standing heavy kick, has a lot of pushback on it, and JURI no longer has a move or a normal which carries her forward. While not impossible, it is difficult to get decent damage off of a crush counter, which is just something which is nice as a way to punish your opponent, obviously. And finally, after that long list, the target combo of forward or back knee and punch followed by heavy punch whiffs on crouching opponents, which is not bad, except it whiffs also on hit, which is really bad. That is bad news bears, because when it does hit, it's actually really good because it actually works as a launcher. But outside of that, if you do it even on block or even on hit, as I said, basically sets you up for a punish, and it feels completely unfair regardless of whether it's safe or not. In conclusion, I think that JURI is a character who's going to take a lot of getting used to. In Street Fighter 4, she was not an easy character to learn. She was a very unconventional character for the Street Fighter series, and in Street Fighter 5 she is no exception. Overall, I'm not really thrilled with the character in her current iteration. I feel like we had a lot of good things that were taken away from her, and given replacements that were not necessarily an improvement or even necessary. That said, I'm not going to play her until the final release. I know a lot of people have modded her on PC so that she is available, and I myself have modded my PC to be able to make her usable, although the mod that I'm using is not 100% perfect. There are some extra tweaks that need to be made, and they do require a fair bit of knowledge of modding and skill, so I'm not really prepared to jump through those hoops just to get her working, especially when this is not the final version that we're going to get. She could change significantly between now and when she is released. So that being said, I don't want to get particular misconceptions into my thoughts should things change. I want to go into the game with a clean slate, knowing exactly what she can do and what she can't do. However, if you are worried that I'm going to abandon our waifu, our supreme goddess of all things that are wicked and evil and sexy and delicious, fear not, because I am a character loyalist above all things, and I will play her regardless. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter if she's different, it doesn't matter if she's changed, I will still main her when she does get released. And I can promise that I will play the absolute crap out of her and get good with her as fast as I can, because I don't think that she's bad, I just don't like the way that some of the things have been changed. It's early days, there's a lot of discovery to be done with the game, there's a lot of things that are being figured out as we speak with different characters, just to dismiss her and say, oh, you know, she's not very good, I don't like her, she's got limited potential, etc., is very short-sighted. So I'm gonna stick with our waifu and try and do the best with her that I can, regardless of what Capcom do with her. Alright, that's it guys! Thank you very much for listening, I hope you enjoyed. If you have your own thoughts, please feel free to leave them below. Like, subscribe, do all those things if you're new to the channel. There's going to be plenty more JURI content, there's been plenty so far this week. Just go through the archives, have a look, it's all there. Until then, kisses, hugs, belly rubs, and I will see you all very soon.